Good evening and welcome to Jedi and the Mailman, show where two old friends aim to deliver the best Star Wars talk in the galaxy. I'm Mike the Mailman. That's Jimmy the old guy Jedi. And before we get into what we came here to talk about, Jimmy, let's talk a little bit about Explore the Force.
All right, what about it?
You guys had on Dan from All
Yeah.
Sabers
Yes.
yesterday.
Yes.
I heard that it was quite an accomplishment to get him there, but you got him.
Yeah,
And
there's some they got themselves a like a international business as well. And we were trying to get the name is slipping. I apologize. The man in England,
yeah.
Jack knows, and then Dan is over in Canada. He's on the West Coast,
Mhm.
and so we were able to kind of work
spread
that
all
out.
over the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
It's another great episode. I mean, anything you wanted to know about lightsabers, it's you and our two Brit co-hosts covered all your favorites. What's your favorite color lightsaber? What's your favorite style? Who's your favorite lightsaber wielder? Who's has your favorite lightsaber? Who had the favorite lightsaber battle? Just so much lightsaber fun.
yeah, it
You
was
like
good.
lightsabers? It's the episode for you.
Yeah, it was a fun chat. And I kind of I learned a lot. Sometimes I've read so many things, and I got to freshen. Sometimes I got to go back and refresh my mind on stuff. And so I was going down through all the stances and
Yeah.
what they mean and what they are and what's canon, what's legends. Because I always assumed that the meaning behind the colors of lightsabers was canon. It's not.
Right. It's
So it's
not.
fun
No.
things like that, and then just
Mhm.
having the conversation about our styles of lightsabers, like if we could have our own idea. And then it was fun to have Dan on because it's
Mhm.
you can see his wheels spinning whenever he was talking about stuff. Pretty creative guy. If you watch the YouTube video of it up, you can see his studio. He had Ezra's saber. I'm sorry, Kanan's saber was when he showed us at first. So we didn't really talk a ton about his sabers and stuff like that. He's kind of come on there and talk. But then off the side, he also had musical instruments. So this guy's a creative dude, right?
Yeah.
He really knew Star Wars, man. He was dropping some things from Legends. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't really know the references. So I always enjoy when we have guests on that know things, because the three of us, me, Charlie, and Jack, and yourself included, we're not real steeped in the Legends stuff. So it's always kind of fun to learn. And especially, and I mean, I just feel like that makes them more legit when it comes to selling lightsabers.
Yeah.
We do have an affiliate with them, and so does Charlie. Charlie does as well. So running back to Jakku, Charlie's personal Instagram, she has an affiliate, so you can get a 10% code from her or from her information, and we also have it for Explore the Force. So if you're interested in lightsabers, they have some beautiful ones.
They sure do.
Kind of have to look for names of characters, and they kind of just for licensing reasons they explain to us that. But I mean, the one I want, Balin Skulls, is called Skull.
Yeah.
Right? So look that up. They have a weathered version and some other things like that. It was pretty cool. I really liked it. He was super nice guy. His family was sick, so we really, really appreciated him coming around and hanging out with us for a little bit. Try to get him out as quick as possible.
One thing I might have missed. When are they sending out the free sabers to all of us?
Yes, I think I may have missed that too. I can talk to you off the air about being an ambassador, though. So. But yeah, you can get 10% off their sabers. They have all kinds of different levels.
Great stuff.
In all fairness, lightsabers, I mean, they can be expensive.
Yes.
But they also have some basic ones too, kind of generic ones you can get in and get started with if you want to practice and things like that. I think my nephew has one of their basic ones.
Yeah.
But then you can get into some pricey things. I mean, I think they're making, because I think Dan sent us some photos today of Rey's Dark Rey's double-bladed saber. It is real nice looking. That would be a fun hobby to collect. I feel like it would be intermittent though, because they if you want a nice quality saber, especially those guys do a great job. They got these great machinists that they send stuff out to. And he also said something about build your own style coming to their website.
I caught that. Yeah.
It'd be pretty cool.
Would be cool.
But yeah, so yeah, it was a great chat. It was a lot of fun. And it always is, like I said, just talking Star Wars. And we all had fun picking different lightsaber battles and stuff. It was funny how a lot of us kind of picked the same things in different order, but we were able to adjust accordingly. So it's a lot of fun. If you haven't listened to the show, it's up on Facebook. Or on Facebook, listen to me. It's up on YouTube. It's on Spotify and your podcaster, provider. Check it out. Let us know, like what color saber. I think we talked Kyber crystal. We talked stances. We talked like setup, like Cal Kestis. And then what your favorite lightsaber battles are. It was a lot of fun. So good chat.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So Dobby and Star Wars. We got Mason Troy 821 says Dobby and Star Wars. I don't know exactly what you mean, Mason Troy.
Yeah, what's he referring to?
So let us know what you mean, and we can dive into it. But yeah, anyway, so it's a lot of fun, good chat. Check out the episode. Lots of good stuff in that one. But we have some things to discuss today, don't we, Mike?
We sure do. You had brought up an article about the new writer that they hired on for the Rey movie. You wanted to touch on that real quick, and then I think we'll get into the meat of our conversation.
Nice.
We're kind of stalling. Jimmy put out a call for we're here to talk about Bryce Dallas Howard, and Jimmy put out the invite to her, and we're fingers are still crossed. She's going to jump on here any second, but
I'm just waiting for her to slide into my DMs. When I say mine, Explore the Force. So, and then ask me for the link for the show, and then we'll give her a few minutes.
We'll really get this going.
We don't want her taking up all of our time, but if Bryce Dallas Howard wants to come on the show and chat with us a little bit about Star Wars, then
we can make the time.
We'll make a few minutes, and then we'll see. Then we'll get back to our own conversation. I'm sure she has things she's doing, but she may not be able to tell us about. But anyways, let me bring up this article. And it's something we talked about. Mike, I think you should kind of tell people why you haven't read the article yet, though. Like, just be honest. Like, I think it's fair. I think, I'm skeptical as well. So
the article came up, and I think Jack posted it on our feed and said, maybe you guys want to talk about this tonight. And my first reaction was, didn't you guys already cover that the other week? Because I did not even read the article. I just looked at it and saw what it was. And like I told Jimmy, to be honest, I don't care about this stuff right now, because every couple weeks something comes out about a new writer has been hired for the Rey movie, and then 3 months later you hear that writer's left and some new writer has been hired. So I am not going to get too invested, but we need content, so we're going to cover this real quick for everybody.
Yeah. So where are we at here? Old Georgie boy. All right. So Star Wars, this is from Film Stories. It's a UK, filmstories.co.uk. They were interviewing him. It's a really, really short article. He'd come in to talk about his new film Elevation, due for release Prime Video on UK. So that's coming up in a couple of days. So we'll know a lot more if this shows, if this movie's good. That'll help. But before that, he's the next guy. I think it's George Nolfi, how you pronounce it. He's the next guy who's been tagged for Charmin Obaid-Chinoy's Rey film, and I believe he's the fourth writer to be picked. It says here, nevertheless, Star Wars sequel reportedly called New Jedi Order is clearly alive and well. When we spoke to him on video call, Nolfi was open to talk, albeit in general terms, about his involvement. He's written for some major studios, Ocean's 12, Bourne Ultimatum. He has some franchise stuff, Adjustment Bureau. I really like that movie. That's the one. I really enjoyed that movie. That was with Matt Damon and oh my gosh, Mary Poppins. Why can't I think of her name?
Yeah, I can't think of it either.
Married to John Krasinski. Emily Blunt. My goodness. Yeah, Emily Blunt. Really cool, fun, kind of out of the box story. If you've never seen it, you should go check it out. It's just a fun, I don't call it a rom-com, because it's like, it is a romantic, but it's not a comedy. I don't know. You should check that out. All these movies are pretty good. Elevation again, starring Mackie, is a sci-fi monster movie, but one in which its heroes use their intelligence and wit to survive rather than brute strength. So, with that in mind, we couldn't help wondering, how does a writer bring their own interest and personality to a series as lore heavy as Star Wars? So this is film stories writing this, and it says, and this is Nolfi. The way I approach it is, you look at what's come before you, you look at the broad ideas of what they want to do. Nolfi said, meaning Lucasfilm, Disney, Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, the director, and I'm assuming Daisy Ridley gets some input there. And then you do what a writer does, and you try to put beats of a story together, try to imagine characters, and then you present that with an understanding that it needs to honor, obviously, a long, incredible tradition. And he goes on to say, if you think about George Lucas, the 6 movies that he did and the universe that he created, it's actually very steeped in broad notions of politics. Nolfi said, it's not talking about today per se, but there's the empire's Nazism/Roman Empire, the democracy of the Roman Empire collapsing and becoming an empire, and the perennial story of human beings organizing themselves against chaos, and then the tools that help human societies tramp down on chaos become oppression. So it's very core to what I think George Lucas was trying to talk about. And one of the wonderful things about science fiction and Star Wars, which is more almost science fantasy or space opera, is that you can raise the deepest issues without it feeling like a philosophy class, legal science class, or something I read in the newspaper today. It can be about real things, deep things. This guy, I think he said he was a writer or in politics before he got started. But when you hear that, I mean, does that give you any hope?
I mean, honestly, like I said, it all of this is frustrating, but honestly, when you step back, it's all good news. I mean, everyone that they're hiring for this project is a pro. They're all bringing excellent background and credibility to the process. So it's all good. It's just, to me, frustrating that we're not taking big enough steps forward. Maybe they're getting the right people in place and they're going to get it right and it's going to be amazing. Hopefully, fingers crossed. That's what we're all hoping for. But yeah, I mean, it's good news. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I want to hear that they have a script and they have a date to start shooting.
I think Ryan Lambie is the writer of this. I like to give them credit too. I don't want to, I'm not trying to steal this information, but filmstories.co.uk, written by Ryan Lambie, February 3rd, 2025. And so Imperial's here. Here we go. Imperial's back.
Imperial.
Nice. Good to see you. Okay, the first two are together. Stephen went solo. All right. So so we're on our third writer. We'll see if it's the last one. But anyways, like they I mean, I like everything he's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, can you do anything else? It is frustrating because I do believe that this movie was supposed to be coming out. Wasn't it December of 2025? Like, were we supposed to be getting a new Star Wars movie based on what they said at Celebration? And I don't want to be negative. I love Star Wars. And like, it was funny to me when I read this article. I don't know if this is a good thing to say out loud, but they're like the 6 movies that Lucas did. And I'm just like, I don't even think about it that way anymore. I just think about it as Star Wars. Like, it's all George's. It's all, and I know I'm going to probably get lambasted for that one. George's Star Wars is the real Star Wars and nothing else is Star Wars, blah, 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 blah. Right. But I'm glad I'm to a point where I can just be like, yeah, it's Star Wars. I didn't even think about,
I'm with you there. So. Yeah, it's become so broad that it's more. I mean, he created something and it's just grown to, it's just Star Wars now, like you said. It's
this guy he's written some good movies or been part of really good movies. I'm curious to see what this UK Elevation movie is. I mean, it sounds interesting. Monsters using their intelligence and wit rather than brute strength to survive. That's a neat twist to something. So yeah, I mean, again, positive, hope for the best. I mean, if you want them to fail, then why are you a Star Wars fan?
Yeah.
So,
and I don't think anybody has that. Yeah, I don't think anybody's disappointed with the people they're bringing in or anything like that. I think
I've
it's
been
all
pleased
just
with them.
frustration. Yeah,
The
it's
last
just
one, Stephen
frustration.
Knight,
It's not moving.
Peaky Blinders guy. I mean,
yeah,
if you binge that show, you realize the pattern every single season. But
right.
the same beats, but one movie. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, let's go. Like 2.5 hours. I think they can knock that out. Plus, you just like the excitement of what's it gonna start? I mean, this is starting brand new Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like the sequel trilogy comes out, but it's still tied into the original trilogy and prequel stuff. This could be, if they want it to be, an opportunity to move away from that and do whatever they want. Reestablish the Jedi Order. Don't reestablish the Jedi Order. I mean, the potential is limitless.
Yeah.
And there's so many creative people out there. I just hope, I hope they get it right. I'm excited for it. I'm disappointed that, like you said, it keeps coming. It keeps getting pushed back, but I mean, it's better than rushing some crappy story or whatever. I know they won't do that at this point, but we talked a little bit about this, and this is the last thing I'll say about it is, I'm excited to go to Japan. I'm excited to, get to see Jack and, go over there with my family and stuff like that. But I'm hesitant about the stuff that we're going to hear.
Yeah.
I love the panels. Like panels are like one of my favorite things in Celebration. Some people don't like them. Some people do. Some people are there for other things. But like this will be my 4th celebration, and some things have come true. Some things haven't. A lot hasn't happened from the last celebration. So, like yourself, I'm a little jaded. I hope that they can reestablish my trust in the words that come out of their mouth.
Yeah.
So,
good luck.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know.
Someone in the edits here said upcoming. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. So I thought that was a pretty funny comment. Pretty sick burn, honestly. With
I don't know. I think what maybe you want to expect from or try to get from Celebration is just the chance to go over. Like, you guys have built quite a big following with your podcast and whatnot. I have a feeling you're going to run into a lot of people that are fans. You're going to create new fans. You're going to meet lots of tons of cool people and stuff like that. And I think that's what's going to be fun about Celebration this year.
For
It's
sure.
just,
Like
nothing to look
there.
forward to necessarily with announcements and whatnot from Disney themselves or Star Wars themselves, but just getting to hang out with people, like-minded people that are excited about what's coming, and you know what I mean. Just having a good time there. Plus, it's Japan. If you've never been to Japan, you've never been to Tokyo. That's just.
I'm not crying about going to Japan by any means.
No,
like,
and I'm not saying you are either, but
history teacher. We're talking World War II right now. Not that is a great segue into going to Japan or anything like that. But man, like we teach samurai, we teach Bushido, we teach all these different things about that country. And so I'm really excited to dive into the culture. I'm excited to be at Celebration. I'm excited to go to my first one as a content creator because I've always wanted to be one. And we've got we'll have 99 episodes under our belt of just the main show. And that doesn't include all the stuff that you and I have been doing, all the recaps. So, but
just going and handing out stickers is just going to be a blast for you guys.
Yeah, so it'll be a good time. But what's he say? My thoughts getting jumbled up so fast. Slow it down. Yeah, happy Jay. Yes, I'm excited. So so that, we got that. Take it how you want. Be excited. Be optimistic. Be cautiously optimistic, I guess, like Mike is saying. So, but I still haven't gotten my DM from Bryce yet, but we could probably start.
I
Bryce,
guess we'll have
just
to
letting you know, we're going to go for about 25 more minutes. So
even if you want to pop in at the very end just to say hello,
want to pop in and say hey.
We get it. You're busy.
How much we love you. How much we think that you deserve your own dang Star Wars movie, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Maybe your own series, whatever you want to do in Star Wars, you should be given the right to do it. You are amazing. And let's dive into Bryce Dallas Howard, shall we?
Let's dive in. Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with well, earlier this week, I guess it was, I saw the article that came out on, was it Disney or Lucasfilm or whatever?
StarWars.com or
StarWars.com. Yeah.
Lucasfilm.com. But yes, I think it's,
So,
yeah, StarWars.com, then it switches over to Lucasfilm.com.
yeah.
But yeah.
So, yeah, I read that article and just thinking back to these different episodes that she was part of, especially, the most recent Skeleton Crew episode and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, I mean,
Zero Friends again,
yeah,
right? Is that what it was
yeah.
called? Zero Friends again?
hmm And I'm like, yeah, I mean, everything that this lady's done is quality. Why don't we dive in a little bit and talk about it? And, neither Jimmy or I is a cinephile. I mean, I wouldn't know how to direct a movie if my life depended on it. So we're probably not going to dive into like a film study of Miss Howard's, but what we're going to do is just kind of go through, the what was it, 3 episodes of Mando that she did, an episode of Boba Fett. It was really an episode of Mando.
It was
And
the best episode of Boba Fett.
yes. And her maybe touch a little bit on the Skeleton Crew episode. I mean, we've kind of run that one pretty recently, but
Yeah.
we'll just kind of go through this. So I did a bunch of research, and by research I mean I watched 4 episodes of TV and listened to a podcast, which is a lot more than I normally do. So
I'm proud of you, Mike. You're diving in, man. You're jumping into the
yep.
deep end.
So let's start off with Bryce's first Mando episode. She directed Mando season 1, chapter 4, an episode called Sanctuary. If you remember this episode, the Mandalorian and child Grogu arrive on the forest planet Storgan, seeking a place to hide. They're trying to find a safe place that Grogu can stay. And in exchange of a sanctuary, the former agrees to help a group of farmers to fight Klatooinian riders with the help of mercenary Cara Dune, who is also in hiding. So this is the episode, the first episode of Cara Dune is introduced. And I find it interesting that they picked Bryce to introduce this strong female character. And then also, I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but the next episode of Mando that she does is the introduction of why is my brain Katie Sackhoff's character?
Yeah, the heiress,
Yeah,
Bo-Katan.
the heiress, Bo-Katan. Yeah, geez, I don't know what's wrong with me.
It's crazy, right?
Right,
and you're like, princess. Yeah,
we're getting up there in years.
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah. So
I'm nervous about that.
In Sanctuary, they introduced Cara Dune, a really strong, powerful female character, and then same thing in Eris, they introduced a really strong, powerful Bo-Katan into the Mandoverse. But sticking with Sanctuary real quick, what do you remember about this episode, Jimmy?
I remember Bryce Dallas Howard bringing all of her experience from being in all of the Jurassic World movies, because they made the ATST, the T-Rex. Yeah. And I thought it was an awesome idea. I know there are people out there who are like, blah, blah, blah about, this is, but she brought in what she knows.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and I thought it was a really fun episode. You're introduced to a brand new character in a fun way. You had a lot of stuff happen in this, right? You had him tipping his hat to eat and taking his hat off. He's, is Mando going to retire and, live a life, whatever, and I mean, kind of a love interest almost. I mean, there was a lot in this episode. I remember it being a pretty fun episode. And of course, it's one of those ones that, where the guy teaches the villagers how to protect themselves and they all stand up to tyranny, and, happy ending kind of, I guess. I mean, they do have to leave, but I like this episode. This is Mando in its heyday, because you said, what is it, episode 4?
4. Yep.
4. I know that people were eagerly waiting the Cara Dune character. So Bryce has introduced a lot of new characters in her episodes. But yeah, I thought the action was good, the stories were good, You know, I really like this episode. I think there is something weird that happened with the food that Grogu was eating, like messing with his food, or I think there was a love cat in this or something. You know, there's just a lot of attention to detail. It was wonderfully done, and I think this starts the love affair of Star Wars fans with Bryce.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, for sure.
We've mostly seen her as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know she directed until I think maybe this episode. I was like, oh wow, like Bryce Dallas Howard. That's the girl from The Village, and that girl
I don't
from.
know if you know this. Her dad is a really good director.
What? No way.
Yeah.
His name is Opie or something like that, right?
Something like that. But
all our young followers are like, what? Who's Opie? In that article, it says, I mean, she was on the set of Willow in 1988 when she was 5 years old with her dad, Ron Howard. You know, if anyone has the experience just being around stuff, and then your dad's who he is, and he seems like the kind of guy who was like nurturing, because the article is pretty fun. You should read the article. It's not long. It's fun. There's some really cool photos, and then I'll bring some up as we're talking, but I'll bring that one up. But yeah, so that first episode that she directed, I loved it. I loved it.
I know. I mean, I really enjoyed getting back into the Mandoverse through my research. You know, my daughter used to work. Well, she still works second shift, but she doesn't live with us anymore. She's growing up, moving out. But she would come home late from work every night, and on the weekend I would stay up late, and we had a tradition of watching Mando and all the other Star Wars shows. So I was way behind. Like I was watching her and I was sharing this, experience together. So we'd watch, an episode at a time, maybe on a Friday or Saturday night when I didn't have work the next day. But just sitting down and watching another episode of Mando, and that sting that it comes in on, the Old West sort of intro, just amazing. And like you were saying, this episode was so Star Wars one, and so Western at the same time. It's a story that they told so many times in old Westerns and whatnot. Like you said, the lonely widow and the dusty traveler coming in to protect the town. But yeah, I really enjoyed, like, you had another thing that Bryce is known for is really working well with the actors that, with the prosthetics and stuff like that. And it starts off with the Clatoonians or whatever, the Clatoonian riders, all these dudes, like, dressed, they're a different species. And the people that have to do those sort of things, I guess, really enjoy working with Bryce because she has a good rapport with them. She understands what they go through to, what it takes to get made up to do these characters and stuff like that. All the different creatures and whatnot through legacy effects works well with them and whatnot. But so yeah, and then like you're talking about the ATST, I freaking loved how they lit that thing with the glowing red eyes. Oh man, awesome. Yeah. And then, like I said, Cara Dune. I mean, the actress got into a little bit of trouble with whatever, coming down the line. But Cara Dune is such a cool character. And what's the actress's name again?
Oh my gosh.
Dang it. And we're showing how good our memories are. But anyway, she's not the greatest actor, but she's a great Star Wars actor. You know what I mean? Like she can inhabit that type of character, a Cara Dune character that just fits so well into the Star Wars pantheon. And yeah, just great. And I mean, just a fun episode.
Yeah, I think, okay, I'm gonna be honest, I've never been a huge fan of
Gina Carano.
That's it. I was looking it up right now. We do know Star Wars folks, I promise. My gosh, like just names are slipping from me. I have never been a huge fan of her acting.
Right.
Physicality, she's phenomenal. I mean, she was in the first Deadpool movie is a bad guy. She had
Yeah.
a movie called Haywire, but I believe they dubbed her voice.
Yeah.
For somebody else's. I think personally, I loved where the character was going. I wish they would have recast. I think they could have recast, and I don't think people would have cared that much.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know. Maybe there was some kind of thing in the clause. I don't think she was big enough actor to have that kind of power. Like no one else can play me or whatever. You know, because some people do have that power. I mean, I know that's like Marvel's issue with Kang and everything like that. They can't really recast, from my understanding. Like we'll never know the truth, but everything I've listened to and what new rock stars have said. But yeah, I think like you're right. Introducing new characters, it was exciting. Great intro, great first episode for Bryce Dallas Howard, and just set the tone for what was to come from her.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was to come next was chapter 11, The Heiress. So that would have been, 7 episodes later? This would have been season 2, I believe. And
yeah, I think so.
So the Razor Crest severely damaged. Man, the Razor Crest was, just
that was
destroyed.
awesome.
They're stuck in the cabin. The rest of the Razor Crest is just in pieces. But crash lands on the moon of Trask, and that crash landing was just amazing. Coming in hot, they keep telling them, slow down, slow down. Hits them reverse thrusters just in time. Boom.
Yes.
And then, so he just saved the frog lady, reuniting her with her husband there on the planet, and he directs them to the Mandalorians. He said, "There's Mandalorians on this planet. He needs to go to the inn and talk with the Quarren." The Quarren captain takes him out on the trawler, and they kick baby Grogu into the mouth of that creature that's in the hold.
Creepy looking.
Mando jumps in to try to save him. Things don't look good for Mando, and then in comes the other Mandalorians to save the day, including our hero Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
So what do you remember about this episode, Jimmy?
Yeah, I remember thinking. Okay, first off, when the ship comes down and it falls into the water, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The repurposed like AT-AT kind of like crane,
Yep.
the original. That was fun. I like that. Just there was a lot going on in that episode in the beginning, and then of course you get them out there. And I just the only thing I can remember one criticism of this was like, why do they need boats in Star Wars? Like, doesn't everything just hover?
I know.
But it makes sense. Corn, they're part of the sea. They're sea creatures, sea beings.
Once again, they're sea creatures. They live in the sea. What do they need boat for?
Yeah. So. Yeah, so what I remember thinking that like that was weird, but I liked it. They're all dressed like, they're dressed like guys you think you'd see on like those Alaskan lobster shows or whatever. I can't even think
with just squid heads instead of
so I thought that was pretty cool. And then this will be like the second time we've seen like a bunch of Mandalorians coming into the rescue.
Yeah.
So we had that. And yeah, I just thought it was pretty fun. Was that the episode 2 where like Boba Fett shows up? I can't remember.
No Boba Fett in this.
That wasn't where they were like all fighting and having a pissing match. But no, I thought it was a pretty fun episode. And the fact that they drove the story forward, they taught us more about Mando being part of like Death Watch and everything like that. Like, oh, you're one of those Mandos. Like you're like outcasts because he wouldn't because he was a shock that they were taking off their helmets.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you're not real Mandalorians, I thought that was a really fun way to introduce that concept and like teach us more about him through them. And then
cast him as a zealot, they all thought him as a religious zealot.
And just seeing Bo-Katan in real life, like live action.
Dude, could they pick anyone better? Like Katie Sackhoff is just, she is Bo-Katan, man.
Yeah, she is Bo-Katan. And I know they remember them talking and joking about it. She tells a story about them joking, her and Dave Filoni, about like, oh, maybe I'll see you as the real life Bo-Katan someday. And it turns out. But I thought that she used a lot of fun, just I mean, she covers a lot of different things, Bryce does in this episode. And again, she kind of pulls it all together, different environments. She's not playing in the same environment. She's playing it with different creatures in Star Wars. She's just doing a lot of different things. And she just keeps getting to introduce great new characters.
Yeah.
You got Cara Dune under your belt, then you're bringing in these Mandalorians, and you're bringing in a Mandalorian that, if you're a Star Wars fan, you knew who she was. Yeah. And I mean, I can remember the anticipation for, because you're like, all right, when's, the rumors are this is going to happen, and, it was just it was exciting. And I thought she knocked it out of the park once again, like everyone. Then, you're just like, all right, so she's done 2 episodes. They've been great. I mean, they're close to being some of the best episodes in each season. I will say season 3's, but I don't know if that's her fault necessarily.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I remember just really enjoying it. I love the action. Again, Bryce can really direct action. Like you said too, she is really good with the actors. We've had Dawn from Legacy Effects on our show, and Dawn tells a great story about Bryce during Skeleton Crew. Showing her things that she didn't, like most people wouldn't have done, and I just thought that was pretty cool. So,
this is another episode that's just filled with creatures too. Like so many actors in costume, with all the effects and stuff like that. Once again, in one of her episodes, just phenomenal.
That's definitely a pattern for her, because I mean, everything that we've got from her in Star Wars has had a lot of creatures involved.
And it like I said, I listened to that podcast too about her, Katie Sackhoff's podcast, where she interviewed Bryce, and all that kind of goes back to her upbringing and just the way that she was brought up, and just she understands that the high-paid actor that's just there for the day isn't the one working the hardest. Like, she understands that what the crew does. Like, she is, like you said, she grew up on film sets. She was on Willow at 5 years old. So she understands what all these different people do on there. And, your actor that has to put on all the
prosthetics and
all the prosthetics and whatnot and stand in the background, that is a hard day for that person. And she seems to get that, and she understands, and I think makes allotments for those people and makes sure that they have a good day on set, which it comes across on the screen. You know what I mean? When everybody's enjoying the set, it just seems to come through. And I'd say everyone's enjoying their time on her sets for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if I could choose, if I couldn't get like Dave or, no offense to her, I mean, Dave Filoni, but like, I would love to see, especially with the stories we've heard about her from, friends of the show, just, I mean, that she's a good person, because she's doing things that she doesn't need to do for people, and so great. Another, I mean, she was 2 for 2 at this point in my book.
Yep. So, well, then she moves on to Boba Fett. And like I said, it's just another episode of Mandalorian. But it's Boba Fett Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian. Now, before I read the synopsis, I remember watching this episode, and the whole time I'm like, oh, cool, Mando's going to be in this episode. And then you watch it, and you're like, when's Boba Fett coming? I mean, no big deal. This is better than anything I've seen on Boba Fett. But you go through this whole episode, no Boba Fett. He's mentioned at the very end. Boba Fett wants to hire you, but you don't see Boba Fett the whole time. The whole time you're just scratching your head like, what is going on here? But this is Boba Fett Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian reunites with the survivors of his tribe to find out more about the Darksaber before traveling to Tatooine with new gear to meet Fennec Shand and Boba Fett to discuss the upcoming war. And, I mean, that says he meets Boba Fett, but he doesn't meet Boba Fett in this episode. But it pushes the Darksaber story forward a bit. He gets challenged. This is the episode where he gets the little armor built for
I think so.
Grogu. Yep. Because first goes into the meat locker with those dog-faced people.
That's great.
That was freaking cool, wasn't it?
More cartoony. I don't know what Bryce has against cartoonians, though. because she wastes a bunch of them.
Yeah, but that scene
It's
when he's
awesome.
sitting there talking to the guy, I can bring you in cold, I can bring you in hot, warm, or I can bring you in cold.
Kind of a
Surrounded by dudes, not worried at all,
Nope.
and just has to waste them all.
Yeah, and it kind of starts that lore of the dark saber getting heavy and fighting it. Which I thought was pretty cool. I don't remember that. I know there was some stuff with like Sabine during Rebels, and I'd have to go back and rewatch those. There was episodes with like the Ben doing everything and them training with the dark saber. But they really started diving into the lore, So I would say that she gets to introduce the dark saber in a way that we hadn't really, hadn't
which
seen
was
yet.
Yeah, which was so confusing as you're sitting there watching an episode of Boba Fett. What is going on here? But anyways, he goes to that planet. What isn't even a planet? It's a ring.
It's awesome, right? Though,
Yeah, so cool. Meets up with the armorer, and eventually gets challenged by what's the big husky Mandalorian?
Vizsla.
Yep, gets challenged for the Darksaber, ends up winning, of course, and then goes to Tatooine, and he gets his N1 starfighter, and that's the story. That's the story. The episode of Boba Fett.
You get a nice montage of them building.
Yeah,
you get some battle,
which is fun.
Droids and things like that, and but yeah, I mean, it's a weird. We can sit here and criticize the direction. I mean, a lot of people are angry that because will they reconnect in the next episode, right? Or is it that like because he goes and he gets Grogu?
Yeah.
I think it's weird. I mean, do they need a whole episode of the Mando to bring him into this show? I don't think so. I honestly think they just didn't have enough, which is kind of sad because I feel like it's Boba Fett. Like you could have done anything you wanted, but they just didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's I don't know where what decisions were made.
The episode is great.
Yes.
Again, Bryce Dallas Howard, 3 for 3 now on Star Wars. She did her job.
Yeah.
She knocks it out of the park.
And then, another thing too, this is an episode that really interjects some comedy. Like, I can't remember the name here. Once again, I can't remember the name of somebody, but the lady that's building the N1 starfighter.
Yeah, Pelimato.
Yeah. I mean, she's a funny lady. There are jokes about dating the Jawas and stuff like that. So, Bryce is showing her talents with not only could she direct action, she can direct, people in prosthetics and creatures and animatronics and all this good stuff. She's so broad, she can do a little bit of comedy too. It's flexing her muscles, showing her chops.
Yeah, for sure. Again, the episode didn't make any sense to me.
Not in the least.
But I think they missed. I still think they missed like it could have been Mandalorian, but Book of Boba Fett, could have been.
There should have been a team up. It should have.
Yeah. So but again, like I said, kind of talking about Bryce, she delivered on everything in this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, for me, it's the best episode of Boba Fett. Like, I'm really not a huge fan of the show. I thought it was real weird. There's little bits and pieces that I liked. But overall, I mean, if I was going to watch episodes, and I planned on going back and doing a rewatch, but it's just not one of those ones where I'm like, I want to sit through it.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Yep. So then after that, we get to the really controversial episode of Mando. This would be Mando episode, chapter 22, Guns for Hire.
Oh.
And there's a little bit of the Mandalorians and there's a little bit of other craziness, but the episode synopsis is: to help her ascendancy, the Mandalorian admits his capture by the cyborg in the mines of Mandalore and is rescued by Bo-Katan, defeating his captor. Seeing the truth of this revelation, Woves and Woves and the others accept the Darksaber rightfully belongs to her, Bo-Katan, It's really not well written, or maybe I'm just not reading well. The Mandalorian then bestows the weapon on her. So Bo-Katan gets her, gets the dark saber legit because she did defeat the cyborg and save Mando's butt. So she does deserve the dark saber, and all the Mandalorians unite behind her. But this synopsis leaves out a lot.
This is a mess of an episode. If we're being perfectly honest,
this is where they were going, but how they got there, there's a lot of craziness in between.
But it does speak, because this is the one that has that droid bar in it.
Yes.
And Chris Bartlett has gone on record saying like how well Bryce does, and we've talked to people who are acting in these things and being different droids and stuff, and how hard that of a day that is, and how hot it can be, and just unsafe it is for people. But this is the first, in my opinion, and again, what's that worth? But the first kind of, and I don't know, like, she's not writing these episodes; she's directing these episodes.
She's directing,
so she's told what she has to do. She does it. I've only ever watched this episode once. How hard is it? I mean, you think about the people that are in this episode. I mean, the big time actors. You Christopher Lloyd. You've got Jack
three
Lizzo,
huge cameos
what's
in this.
her name?
Lizzo.
Who I didn't know who that was, if I'm being honest.
I knew I was aware of Lizzo, but I wouldn't have known that was her unless someone told me. There's tons of music acts that I know their music, but I couldn't pick them out of a lineup, But
no, she's like famous from YouTube or something. But anyways, it was weird. I just kept on edge waiting for Jack Black to be like Scooby Doo ba ba, like just kind of break into one of his Jack Black things. I think that this was kind of a waste of having Jack Black in an episode.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he could have done more with a character that was allowed to be like Jack Black.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. Although I have different thoughts on it, but go ahead.
I think this episode was a mess. It's all over the map, and there's this little mystery that's happening. Christopher Lloyd ends up being, I'm like, why did they need him for that? From that,
yeah,
it was just like they were just kind of flexing, like, look, we can get all these famous people, and let's put them all in one episode for Bryce. Like that had to have been, challenging to have all those people in there. And then, of course, the end of it's pretty good because there's a big fight between Axe Woves and Katie, giving characters, and
Bo-Katan.
She is Bo-Katan. So getting them crossed up. So there's a nice fight there. But and there's some pretty cool scenes of the ships and the Mando gauntlets and stuff like that. But I don't know if it was enough to save this episode. And I don't remember enough about this episode off the top of my head. I'd have to rewatch it, and I don't want to. Like, you can't make me. I don't ever want to rewatch this season. I really did not like this season of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, it was.
But
yeah, it is a tough season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I wonder. Did she fix stuff? Did she make it worse? I can't
imagine she made it worse.
That she had 3 really amazing episodes up to this. I feel like she probably saved this episode from being just a hot pile of garbage that's lit on fire. Yeah. So
there was a lot of good things in this episode, like you said, like the Bo-Katan and Woves fight. Some of the action when they're solving the mystery of the droids, you know what I mean? Like chasing down that B-1 battle droid, and that was a cool scene. And some other good things, but like you said, what is Christopher Lloyd doing here? Anybody could have done that.
So minimal for him.
Yeah.
I mean, are they throwing him alone or something? Like, I feel like he's good. I think.
I gotta figure. I would almost guarantee that Jack Black really wanted to be in Star Wars somewhere. Yeah. But to your point, he could have done more. Now, I think he does a good job he's a good actor. He plays the role well.
He
way better. Like Lizzo is not a good actress.
Bombardier.
Yeah. Lizzo was not a good actress. And the 30-year or more gap between the two in age is just kind of gross. But I don't know. I don't think, like, Jack Black didn't throw me all that badly.
No.
And sometimes we have some bad acting in Star Wars. That happens. But yeah, the cameos weren't necessary. We talked a lot about cameos when we went through Skeleton Crew, how they, weren't necessary. They weren't necessary here either. Anybody could have played those roles, but
yeah, they weren't such a standout characters that you're like, oh, this is
yeah,
yeah. I don't understand this episode. I hate to say the F word, but it felt like filler.
Yeah.
It was kind of silly. I don't know. We say this stuff about Dave Filoni sometimes. We used to say about Rebels all the time, oh, it was a filler episode, but then something will come back from one of those episodes 2 seasons later or a season later, and you're like, oh, okay, not filler. They were telling the point. And so, right. I mean, who knows? Maybe there's something in the movie that pulls back from this episode, but I'd just like to forget this whole season exists personally. So
I gotta say though, because you bring up the movie, I can't say that I've been super excited about the Mando movie being the next movie, but after diving back into the Mandoverse and seeing these again, like I am jazzed up for that. I mean, for one thing, it's the only thing coming that we have to look forward to. I mean, other than season 2 of Andor, but I mean, the Mando movie's still a long ways off, unfortunately, but I'm jazzed for it, dude. I mean, with some of the things we've heard, the rumors about who might be in it and who might, what it might be, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be good. I mean, I know we saw that teaser trailer, or some of us saw teaser trailer stuff, and there are some cool things from Clone Wars and stuff like that. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, it has potential. Do I wish we were getting something in December? Of course. But whatever. It is what it is. This is strike one on Dallas. But I don't know.
Said, she didn't write it. She may have done the best job.
Yeah, I don't put any of this on her. She introduced a lot of cool stuff that we hadn't seen before, like a droid bar. I mean, I hadn't seen that many droids in one place in a very long time. The scene with at the end with all of the, I mean, I know it's all, it's not, some of that's not her, but the action there is great, and seeing the gauntlets and things like that were really cool. So those are the things that she did. She did well. I mean, it's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Just
and to wrap it all up,
black it
out. To wrap it all up, the next thing she directs in Star Wars, anyways, is an amazing episode of the Skeleton Crew. Now, I didn't put the synopsis on here, but it's kind of fresh in our minds. It wasn't too long ago, but it was the episode Zero Friends Again. I believe that's what it's called. It's some permutation of that. But I mean, that episode just takes everything that she's learned to date and just crushes it. Like, there's it's one thing she said, and it's really early in the podcast, Katie Sackhoff, that she was talking about working with Jod. Once again, I can't remember an actor. Jude Law, Jack's twin, working with Jude Law. And I guess this is something she tells all the actors, but when she wants a certain performance out of him, but she tells them less Pinocchio, more real boy. And what that means is less like actors. Some actors come in and they do the job. They put it on, they act. Other actors really get in touch with their feelings, like take themselves to a place where they can dredge up these feelings. They can find something in their background that really helps them emote and project those feelings. And that's what she wants to get out of the actors, is the realness, like less fake, less Pinocchio, more real boy. And she really nailed it in that episode of Skeleton Crew. I mean, just the scenes with the kids, and man, it is so impressive to get those sort of performances out of those kids. I mean, those kids are great actors. They've proven themselves, but what those kids were able to do in that scene, especially the girls, and then even I just realized too that the Jude Law scene, the hunger scene, is in this episode too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, just phenomenal performances she's able to get. And you still have, like you said, the giant crab. She's working with the creatures and stuff again
Trash
like that.
grabs and
Yeah, like all of
emotion
her
stuff.
specialties just come out in this episode. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say it. She is a gem, dude.
She
Star
is. And
Wars needs to give her more.
yeah, I mean, you can just see from these photos from the night how much fun she's having and being around everybody. The kids all seem to, be enjoying her. And, from the
Mhm.
stuff she says in the article, how much fun she had working with the kids and just kind of going back to her days in film. Yeah, we don't need to talk about this episode that much because it just happened. But
Yeah.
great episode. I mean, we loved all the episodes of Skeleton Crew, but
Yeah.
this one I liked it because it broke the kids up from their safety blankets. They each had their friend, and this took them in a different direction. Some great action.
Mhm.
Um, she gets to do some cool things in her episodes. You're bringing
Yes.
back Phil Tippett and stop motion, the guy who
Mhm.
brought the AT-ATs to life, and much more for, the Hoth battle scenes and things like that. But yeah, like she gets to do a ton in this. She delivers. She gets amazing performances out of, was it Karina? I think it's how you say KB's name. And Ravi, all of the kids.
Mhm.
She really pulls them from that. And then you got
Yeah.
Jude Law. I'm sure Jude doesn't need a lot of help being him. But then of course you also have like the action in the end. You have the stuff that happens with the Onyx Cinder.
Mhm.
Just I mean,
Yeah.
crushed
I
it.
mean,
And
yeah. She's cut her teeth. She's paid her dues. She's done all the things in Star Wars. She's ready for the next step. I mean,
I there's only been one series that's had its only one director, and that was Kenobi.
yeah.
I think if they could find the right, I mean, does she? I don't know what that project looks like for her. I mean, I'm sure she'd be passionate about whatever she does.
Yeah.
Um, but I think she could handle, a movie for sure. I mean, I think she can handle whatever they throw at her.
Yeah.
Movie for sure. Leading a whole series by herself. Um, I think
Yeah,
that
I wonder if she has any ideas because she is a writer. And she writes for Vanity Fair. I believe it's
Bryce,
Vanity
we're
Fair.
staying on for a few extra minutes. We said we were going to stay on for 45. We're giving you a couple. You got like 2.5 minutes, and then we're going to have to balance. So if you have any ideas of things you want to do in Star Wars,
Please let
now is
us
the
know.
time to ask me for the link. I'll send it to you, and you can come on and tell everybody real quick. So
That's yeah,
everyone
it'd
hold.
be interesting, but would certainly be interesting to know if she had any ideas.
She
Because I
has
don't think
to.
she has to, yeah, but I don't think it's been said anywhere. I've never read any article with but you're
No, I
right.
think.
Like these creative people, I mean, heck, I have ideas. And she has an outlet. She has, a way to make it happen. So I'm sure she has ideas. I'd love to know what
Well,
what she wants to do. And I say give her the keys. Let her do it.
yeah, I bet she could come up with something. I'd love. I'd love to see it. I'd be down for it. I'd be the first person in line to go see her movie. I'd be the first person to be excited for her if she comes out on stage at Celebration and says, "Hey, I've got this new series that's coming." If it's a
Yeah.
series, I might believe it. I wonder too, like how much of Marshals of the New Republic and stuff like that was supposed to come out. Like, did
Yeah.
she have a bigger role in that? Like, was that going to be her Deborah Chow moment where she was going to get to direct the whole thing? Because she
Yeah.
was so good um, with those characters. Things that we'll never
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I mean, 100%. I like to see her in Star Wars too. She's one of the few directors that
Yeah.
hasn't been in as an X-wing pilot, and she's
Mhm.
one of. I mean, I'm looking at this photo that we have up on the screen, and other than John Favreau and Taika, like she's been the star of
Yeah.
major motion pictures. I mean, she's
Mhm.
carried movies. Like, let's get her in Star Wars too as a really
Yeah.
badass character. You
Right.
know, what'd be funny would be to be like some kind of hollow news or hollow drama director, and that's her.
Yeah,
kind of alien or something, and she's like, no, just being like a stereotypical jerky director, producer, whatever. That'd be pretty funny. But I think she absolutely deserves it. She's knocked it out of the park. And there's, in that photo, there's a couple people that deserve opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
But, and I'm glad Deborah Chow got Kenobi, but, I just think that Bryce, just given everything she's done in Hollywood, how long she's been a part of it. And the thing is too, is like, these people, I think sometimes like someone like herself and like a lot of those people in that film, like they've learned to work in these teams. She gets stuck. She has the most amazing people to call, like, hey, dad, what would you do here? Like, you got any advice for me? Because like, we still talk to our moms and our dads and things like that. Like, hey, what do you think? And hey, Jon Favreau, hey, Dave Filoni, hey, George Lucas, like, you got any tips for me?
She can call
and she
anyone.
seems the kind of person that would just be like, that's excellent. I haven't thought of that. Let's use it. And I don't know. She seems very likable, very intelligent. Just, I would love to get some kind of like announcement or something. I've been kind of down on they just announced Oscar Isaac for Japan. Why not Bryce Dallas Howard and some of these directors? I'd love to meet them. So I would definitely go and get my photo with Bryce. Be like, I loved you in The Village. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else we can say about her, really. We've given her time. We've given her an hour.
I know.
She's probably shy.
I think
I'm assuming she's shy. She's probably a little intimidated. By the 0 people watching our show right now.
Right.
So,
exactly. I mean, like 12 people by tomorrow. 12 people will have viewed this, so that's a lot.
Bryce, don't let the numbers fool you. Big time here, but but no, it's been a fun chat. Like I knew we'd have fun talking about her. And again, any criticisms of the episodes that we talked about, I don't really feel like they're not her faults. Like I think it's the writing. She's not the writer. I think, like we said, and out of 5 episodes we talked about, there was one dud. And again, the stuff that
it had its bright points.
It had bright points to it. In a season that was kind of all over the place, hot mess. She pulled one out of the hat there, kind of. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else? Any final thoughts on Bryce Dallas Howard before she messages me real quick?
If she needs 2 more schlubs in her corner, we're here for you, baby.
Yes. The full force, Explore the Force, Jedi and the Mailman are behind you, Miss Howard. We love everything you do.
Absolutely.
From everything. So we want to thank Bryce Dallas Howard for everything she's done for Star Wars. So
absolutely. And here's to more.
Yes, please, please, please. I get my Rancor cup out. Bryce, please do more for us, Miss Howard. We love you. And we'll see you guys next week.
Next week.
Next week.
Peace.
Here we go. Peace.